how to deal with headlock. Uh, but with the popularity of MMA and sport jiu-jitsu and all that kind of stuff, that you don't see that too often. It's not a good trained position. You don't see a lot of people doing headlock that are trained fighters, so there's not a whole lot of call for defending against it. But it is a street fighting position. There are some styles, like you get wrestlers and stuff like that, who will do it. And every now and then you see a guy who should know better get caught with a headlock and not know how to get out. So it's a pretty simple way. So I'm just going to go through some couple of easy general things to look for and to deal with. Okay, so when I say headlock, I'm talking about judo style headlock Kesugatami, where he has my head and an arm. If it's just the head, that's so much easier. And if it's standing up, it's even easier. So this is worst case scenario. Worst thing, once you learn to deal with this, everything else is easy. So the thing I'm most concerned with is he can't really hit from here. If he does, the only thing he can do is strike with that hand, and if he does, he gives up the control. What makes this position work is he's holding on my tricep, he's pulling me in, and he's keeping me in there. So if he gives that up to start punching me, maybe he sneaks in a quick punch, but now I'm free and I can block it. So really, the only thing I'm really concerned with here is the Mark Coleman style neck crank choke, where he just, okay. So my first concern is dealing with that and setting up the position. So as soon as I'm dumb enough, I found myself here. The first thing I need to do is I need to turn into him, and essentially I need to spoon him, okay? I need to go in. Here. He can still have me completely controlled, pulling tight here. But what happens now, because I turn into him, now do the Coleman neck crank. See, there's no pressure, because the pressure is now not into my chest, it's sideways, and I can deal with that. So immediately, by spooning him like this, I've immediately taken away the worst thing I can have to worry about dealing with. Okay, and I've also set up my escape. So the first escape, go ahead, hold on. The first escape, what I want to do is I turn into him. I want to try to bring this hand, this elbow to the mat as close as possible. So as I turn into him, I don't want to just use my hip and do it. I want to use the momentum, try to bring my elbows in. Even if he's still holding on, that's okay, but I've given myself a little space. So now I'm into him. He's still holding my hand, he still has the arm, but I have a little breathing room. So now what I do is, my first reaction I look for is I want to get my belly down to the mat. So I switch my knees, keep holding my head. And it's very, even if he's holding on, I have the position now to get by with leverage, not strength. Even if he's still holding on your head, you have the back, you have control, you'll get out, okay? Sometimes, as you do this and you turn you get to your knees, he's still holding on, you go down here, he's still holding on, keeping everything. You bring your forearm across his head and just push away. And again, that's not strength. That's leverage and being very uncomfortable on him. The harder he pulls, the more pressure he applies to himself. Either way, but the main thing is spoon, elbow to the mat or your rib cage as much as possible. Get to your knees, belly down. And then you can look to see which way to go. Okay? Sometimes, as you do that, he moves out a little bit. And it's a little hard to pull your arm and come up. Okay? Because now with him spread out, his leverage is a little bit that way. So now what I look for is I take my top leg and hook it onto his. And I just use that leverage now to come out the backside this way. Okay? Again, it's not strength. It's, I'm using his own body and the strength of my back against his arm strength. Okay? So he feels it, he knows he's going to do that. Kind of keeps his pressure down so it's hard to come up quite that way. So, and again, I don't make it one big move. It's not pow. It's, I'm holding it. It's like a popcorn machine. Just continues. Okay? Third option, a lot of times when you're in this position and you start to move, you try to do this, the guy feels it. And to keep this arm, he really pulls up on it with the weight. But what I see, and as he does that, he comes on top of me. He can't pull away with this arm without giving up the position unless he leans in. So what happens is, so that was weight on my chest, and it's very hard to turn. So what I do is I grab my own hand, I go into his rib cage, and now I'm just going to oopa. But here's the thing, I'm not going to oopa and roll this way. If I do, now I'm pulling his entire weight over my body, over the bulk of my body. What I'm going to do is I'm going to oopa this way. So now his weight is just over my head, nothing else. So as he's on top, just go here. And it looks very Aikido and Tai Chi-like, but it's not. Because what's happening is, I'm not here, again, I'm not doing this. I'm pulling him this way, okay? I'm going this. So his weight shifts here, and my hips, which is the strongest point of my body, has the freedom to do that kind of stuff, okay? So one more time, he's here, he feels me start to pull away, he comes up, I just go. Simple, easy stuff. Now, if you work those motions, understand the feeling, the energy that the guy's giving you, you've actually learned a ton of escaping from the bottom in every position. You've learned upa, you've learned hip movement, you've learned reading the pressure, all those things. It's a good base for learning anything to escape the bottom, whether it's cross-side, knee on belly, mount, whatever. Also, if he is just doing it with just the head, as I said, it's even easier because now your arm's already free, and you can see you can already come up. He's just hold on to your head, that's nothing. And if you're standing up, it's even easier. Okay, let's do it quick. So in here, he's done this, he's done the headlock, he's real cool. But again, he's not stopping my body, he's not stopping my head. So I just go here. There's even a really super strong guy, it's very difficult for him to completely control you with just your head when your body, your hips can shift around him. So there's this basic idea of escaping the headlock heel.